Welcome to the Beasts of the NFC East podcast. I am your host, Sean Michael Gnitzcavich, with my co-host, Jeremy Goode. Jeremy Goode, what is good here?
Uh, Not the Giants, but I don't want to rain too much on whatever parade you're throwing. But Washington also isn't good.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting game from them, but they
Yeah.
still lost. And Dallas continues to beat up on little peasants and then doesn't deliver against the big time opponents. So we'll get into it. But that's what's good. Eagles are on bye. Nice little break for me. But interesting few games the last, I guess, yesterday. So we'll look into that.
Yeah. Giants played almost unwatchable football, and the Commanders, they lost, but at least they had like nice, good play. Stuff that you can actually be enticed for, and
Yeah.
not miserable watching. Before we get into this, I just, for Giants fans, I know we're in full tank. I mean, Tommy DeVito is just essentially there to make sure that we get the first pick. Caleb Williams, lost, I'm pretty sure, this weekend. Michael Penix won. I don't even know about Drake May. We're probably going to end up with Caleb Williams or Drake May. I know some Giants fans are on the Marvin Harrison train, but we'll get into
I see some Giants fans who are in love with Drake May.
Yeah. I don't know. I
don't know.
We'll move into that. But yeah, let's get started. The Dallas Cowboys beat the New York Giants in Dallas, Arlington, 49-17. All right. Let's the Giants were atrocious. At halftime, the score was 28-0. And this is a fun stat. The Giants had 27 yards. The Cowboys had more points than the Giants had yards at halftime. As a Giants fan, I think after last week losing Daniel Jones, you want to lose every game for the rest of the season. But you want it to be competitive. Especially against Dallas. This is a game. Was I expecting much out of Tommy DeVito? No. But is I expecting much out of our defense with Adoree Jackson out? Azeez Ojulari is coming back. I think he got a tackle for a loss. Whoop-de-doo. But this is a game that I at least want to fight and not be embarrassed. But
right.
we got embarrassed. And also it's yes, are we rooting for the number one pick? Yeah. But also, you're watching your team fall apart. There was multiple outbursts. Darius Slayton getting into it with Mike Rowe, our wide receivers coach. Sterling Shepard had to come in there and do what we paid him to do. Essentially, is just step in and be that veteran leader. He also got a touchdown, which I'm very happy for.
Garbage time.
Garbage time touchdown, but I'm just happy Sterling got a touchdown.
when you guys called 2 timeouts on that drive too, which I'll get into because I thought that was cowardly. But nonetheless, give your praise for Sterling Shepard.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't this is the thing. I think, you know what? Maybe we should go into all the things the Cowboys did good, and then we can go into how awful the Giants did bad. I don't know. It's tough. It's I mean, the Cowboys played almost a perfect game. Aside from the only time that they didn't look perfect was in the first quarter when we had a chance.
Nice little interception.
Yep. Well, first we stopped them on the goal line.
Right.
On fourth and whatever, stopped them, shut them down. Giants run defense, Dexter Lawrence and A'Shawn Robinson up there in the middle, shut them down. And then we obviously 3 and out, awful. Barely. We were just trying to not get a safety, get safetied, and it looked like we just got the ball over the edge each time.
It's a tough place to be on the field with anybody, especially with a guy like DeVito. It's a miserable scenario.
Not to mention the Dallas defensive line is definitely not one that I want to be facing on the 1 yard line. But then, Cordell Flock gets his first interception ever. And the Giants are right there. He almost gets a pick six, does not. against Dak. That's like Dak's big mistake of the game. And then we can't score. We can't deliver. The Giants cannot deliver. And I know Dable did the right thing going for it. Like we weren't gonna win this game kicking a field goal there.
Yeah.
But the play call, and I'll tell you who else didn't agree with the play call. Tommy DeVito's dad, because they cut to him in the stands. He's like, "What the fuck, dude?" I mean, I was rooting for Tommy DeVito strictly for his family too. I mean,
Sure.
like Jersey guy, grew up in the town that The Sopranos was filmed in or based off of, one of the two. I don't know, like just real Jersey dude. I mean, do I want him starting for my team? Only to get the first pick, but yes. I do not want. I don't. But even then, like it's just like. I was the least excited I think I've been to wake up for a Giants football game in a very, very, very long time.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like I don't really care if we get Caleb Williams and he ends up being Patrick. Well, I do care. But this season, like a whole wasted football season, I was so excited, so much. It's just like, it's deflating, you know? It like I was looking forward to that Giants Eagles Christmas matchup, but you know, but like, what is it even gonna? Like what is it, you know, to watch it crushed?
Back to going for it on that fourth down. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I hear you. I think that's I think it's a tough situation because you're not going to win with field goals. I get the aggressiveness. You need to hang in there with touchdowns, especially because you can't really carry your offense. Mm-hmm. If you kick the field, it's tough though, because if like you kick the field goal, it's 7-3. It's a different kind of. I don't know. You may be right. Actually, it's tough.
Yeah.
I think a field goal would have been helpful to get on the scoreboard to show that you're around, but ultimately, I guess it didn't really matter. But yeah, it's a tough. I think both sides have a case on what could have happened there.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't really agree with the play call. I mean, also like, I mean, the two touchdowns we did get were through the air. But like they were obviously expecting a Saquon run there, and of course they stopped it. I mean, the thing is too, I remember seeing this stat line saying up to that point Saquon had 5 rushes for 0 yards, and I'm like, and they go to him again. Which I mean, obviously, like Saquon's like one of our only functional players right now with Tommy DeVito at quarterback.
Right.
But let's give the Cowboys their flowers. Dak Prescott, aside from that interception, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. So 5 total touchdowns, 404 yards. I mean, this is like the MVP performance by him. I do have to say that like good for him. He's playing against a Giants defense who has been good, but we came out Thibodeau's out in the first half with a concussion.
Right.
Aguilar's back, whatever. So we're missing our best edge rusher. Adoree Jackson's out prior to the game, so we're down to Cordell Flott, Darnay Holmes, Deontay Banks. Deontay Banks gets out with an ankle in the first half. Cordell Flott injures his shoulder, too, after that interception. Later on, he injures his shoulder. So we were down to, like, Darnay Holmes and Trey Hawkins and Nick McLeod, who's, like, his safety. Yeah, so, like, I mean, good for you, but you're playing against literally our third – or our 4th best cornerback is our first starting cornerback.
And I also think
there's nothing.
I also think good offenses trump good defenses just in general. I think that a great defense is great, but it can only go as far as they can, because the offense will ultimately, if your offense is good, they should prevail, no doubt.
Yeah.
It also, I mean, I know you're giving flowers. I thought it was cowardly of the Dallas Cowboys to throw the ball for the entire game. That was lame and unnecessary. But it's they got to prop up their guy. They got to hype him up. And so confidence-wise, I guess it's smart. They didn't run the ball too well. Pollard just does not look like
he doesn't look good.
No.
And they didn't use him in the passing game either, which is weird because I feel like they've always used him in the passing game. I don't even know. I don't think he even got a target. Yeah.
I guess they don't have much of a security blanket. I know, what's his name? Dowdle. Yeah. He's okay as a backup, I think. I think it's different when, like, you had, like, a few years ago, Zeke sort of at the end of this, like, good run, but still capable. And then you have a really young Pollard who looks like a tough backup who could be a starter. So I think it's different now with Dallas because they don't have much behind Pollard where they can explore him as a pass catcher. And that's just as a running back. He has not looked like anything special all year.
Yeah, no, he's been like very disappointing for somebody who everybody had such high hopes for.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I feel like Dowdle is becoming like the Pollard to Tony Pollard. Like
Maybe.
I mean, he had, and then Deuce Vaughn is just like, I mean, everybody runs through for him, the little tiny guy out of Kansas State or whatever. But I mean,
Correct.
he had -2 yards. Like on the season, I just pulled this up. He's averaging 1.8 yards per carry. Obviously, it's kind of unfair because they throw him in at like random spots so he doesn't get to get going. But
yeah,
I mean, like if Dowdle and Pollard are gone, like you're not relying on Deuce Vaughn to be like you're starting. Like he can your back.
If he's in positive yardage, I'm not even kidding. After the game, I think that's a win for him because he just has not been able to find anything on his first touch. Usually for a game, it's always like negative a few yards, and then I think McCarthy says we can't continue with this guy. So
yeah, it's but Dowdle did. I mean, he had 6.6 yards per carry and a rushing touchdown and
Cooks
9 yards. Cooks though, Brandon Cooks
on my bench.
Oh, on my bench too. Brandon Cooks and Brian Robinson, both on my bench, which
unreal.
Both went off, but Brandon Cooks finally looks like the Brandon Cooks that like they assumed they were getting. And honestly,
something
if he
like
can
that.
keep it, I mean, he looked great all game. 173 yards, 9 receptions, touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, another great game. 151 receiving yards, 11 catches. Touchdown and a 14-yard rushing touchdown, which like just great. Like you had to throw that on top of there too. That was his longest rushing touchdown, by the way. I remember they said that
ever this year.
Longest rushing touchdown. Yeah, for him.
Right.
Deron Bland with another interception. I believe. Does he lead the league now?
I think maybe.
No, he has 5. So he's one below
who was 6?
Stone on the
Raiders.
Geno Stone, yeah.
At safety he is 6. Wow.
Yeah, he's kind of like a safety cornerback hybrid, I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Deron Bland, great. Like the Cowboys look good. We'll see going up. I mean, they played a good game against your Eagles too. Like you said, and at the end they collapsed.
Yeah.
What's really weird, like I didn't notice him throughout the game, and like he literally has 0 stats, Micah Parsons, like on any website. Like I didn't notice him throughout the game. I don't know if he just got like shut out of the stat sheet, especially for being like the trash talker that he is, and everybody thinking he's like defensive player of the year against
especially for
Giants team,
right? Especially for a Cowboys team that loves to stat pat against bad teams. I can't emphasize that enough. They will. Yeah. Whatever they can beat up on a team like the Giants, who they match up perfectly with, they'll do it. So
yeah,
that is weird,
sad, but true. And also, they kept Micah Parsons in after they took everybody else out. I don't know. I think Mike McCarthy did it because of Micah Parsons saying on his podcast, like talking garbage about keeping Daniel Jones in when we were losing so bad week 1. But yeah, I think Cowboys have now outscored the Giants this year, 89-17. In our games. I mean, like that's just. But let's get to like the atrocity that is the Giants, because this is.
I mean, it's. I think I'll start off with.
Yeah.
It's tough for them ultimately because they're playing to lose. Yeah. It's very early in the season to be playing to lose the way they are and to play the way the roster's constructed. I know they have injuries, but I think that there's even though it's not like a great talented team, it's talented enough where you wouldn't think, what is it, November 12th, we're tanking, we're going on ultimate tank and putting in DeVito.
Yeah. I
think that's what the problem. I think if this were like 3-4 weeks later, you understand. But I think but good for the Giants because they're gonna lose. And I'm not saying that to troll you guys. They will lose with Danny DeVito. He can't throw the ball for more than 100 yards. That might change. I think he'll have some opportunities later on. But he doesn't give you many options to win
No.
offensively. And I think the defense is still decent-ish for the Giants, but I think they're also, they were injured. I think the defenses can get beat up when you're losing games too. I think that puts a sour taste in their mouths in the locker room. It's just hard to go in. You hear that a lot. It's hard to go into the facility every day knowing your team is bad and that you lose every week. So I think that will wear on the defense a little bit. Trading away Leonard Williams, obviously, you lose him for the rest of the year, so you lose talent. I don't know if Adoree Jackson is shook because the Giants had to trade for him and just didn't get it in on time. I don't know, but
Wait, was that reported?
That's what I heard, but it also might be inaccurate.
Yeah, I don't know. Especially because of the way that they handled the Leonard Williams things. I feel like, I don't know. Although Adoree Jackson has probably played his worst football in his career this year, he's still a good cornerback in the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, we're not in the position to really move on. Like he's. I'm trying to figure out. Let me pull up how old he is. I feel like he's no older than like 27. Like he still has.
Yeah, probably around that age. Yeah.
28. Yeah.
Okay.
Still, like he still has good football left in him. Like
Yep.
Personally, as a Giants fan, I don't care. Like look what the Texans did. The Texans were the worst team in the NFL. And now they just beat the Bengals. CJ Stroud is having an MVP year. Like it's possible that we tank this year because we had a team that like was a playoff team. Like people thought we could probably at least make it into the playoffs again, maybe win a game. And everything, we had the worst hand dealt to us. Now, hey, we got the second pick right now. Maybe the Panthers can win a couple games and like Bryce Young won't look terrible. That's your Bama guy. But I don't know.
Bryce Young looks fine. That team is very bad, and I don't think the Panthers will be winning much, unfortunately.
Well, at least if we stay at 2, which at this point, we are playing. So I think the Patriots pick 3 right now, and we play them in 2.
And you play them. That's going to be a big game.
I know, and we're gonna all be rooting because I remember when all the Giants fans wanted Chase Young, and we played the Commanders. And we essentially swapped picks because we beat the Commanders. I think that was the game. Like Daniel Jones had like 5 passing touchdowns. So you wanted to see that then. Like you wanted to see it because you're seeing like Daniel Jones emerge. So you're like, okay,
right.
And we ended up with Andrew Thomas, who in the long run, I love.
Yep.
But like, there's nothing like what I guess I want to see Jalen Hyatt emerge, but I kind of like know what that is. Like, I don't really want to see like some masterful game from Tommy DeVito, who's like not in our plan to like beat the Patriots and then we lose out on Drake May or Caleb Williams. Like it sucks. What I also don't want to see though is like watch this team completely collapse. I feel like we have to say it just because there's not much else to talk about. But like a lot of people, some fans, some analysts are saying like Dable, Shane should be fired. I know a lot of people are like on Shane for giving Daniel Jones that contract. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not going to lie. Like that first quarter, like the play calling was awful. Like we had like 3, I think we did this wildcat trick play with Saquon Barkley like 3 times and it was not effective any of the times. It didn't look good whatsoever. I know one time we handed off to Breida. I think another time Saquon just ran it. Just like, it's like, dude, this isn't going to work. Like it's cutesy, but like it's not. I guess like let's try to have fun. And then the challenge that Brian Dable threw like on the second play of the game where like on that fumble that was definitely not a fumble. Like I knew it wasn't a fumble from far away, and then the close up was obvious. Like I don't know who told him to throw that challenge, but that was just dumb.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't see them getting rid of Dable or Shane. I think Wink's gonna stay. I think he's shown enough with this defense when we're actually clicking. Mike Kafka, like I know Talking Giants were discussing this and they were talking about how like Jason Garrett had a longer leash. He was awful.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not like totally ready to give up on Mike Kafka, but if there's like a promising offensive coordinator that maybe wants to work with like a Caleb Williams or Drake May, like I'm not opposed to, like he hasn't shown me anything. Even last year, like our offense was still relatively inept in terms of like deep passing, like
Oh yes.
plays. So like, I mean, I'm not. We definitely need to get rid of our special teams coordinator because that's just awful too. I mean,
I
there's
think
changes to be made.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Kafka's name being a hot name, and hasn't really shown much. I agree. I wouldn't fire Dable or Shane yet,
Yeah.
especially because I think that they're going to have some nice draft picks. I do
Yeah.
like. I will say it was genius of them to put in the Daniel Jones thing, the team opt out after year 2.
Yes.
That's just smart.
Yeah.
they're going to do it.
It is, and I don't think people realize that. They're like, "Well,
Yeah,
you got a huge contract." I'm like, "No, we can get out of it after next year." He's
I don't
probably
know how
not.
much
He doesn't
dead
need
money.
going into it.
Yeah, I don't know how
Yeah.
much dead money is going to happen, but I think it's reasonable enough. Yeah, I am a little unimpressed by Dable this year. I thought obviously last year was very good, and this year it seems like it's like Jekyll and Hyde. He's just abandoned everything that like got him to this point, and
But
you
it's not
sort of
even that. It's just like all of like those trick plays that we were able to pull off last year. Like
yeah,
Dable showed that.
it's
We
yeah.
know that play style. Like we have to adjust further.
You got to run a legit offense. You got to just like stick to like your formation. You had a lot of good stuff in Buffalo when he was there with Josh Allen. Obviously, looks like I think Buffalo's offense has suffered since he's left.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's also like translated in the New York Giants' favor either that Dable's now there.
Yeah. Yeah. It is interesting. So just to like the one highlight, we're talking about these draft picks. Like, I mean, what do you think about people saying that we should go after Marvin Harrison Jr.? Because I mean, dude, there was a part of me in the beginning of the year when like we didn't know Daniel Jones didn't tear his ACL. I was like, dude, if we suck and we're picking that high, obviously I want Marvin Harrison Jr. But I think the opportunity to get one of these top 2 quarterbacks who like I feel like every year they're like, oh, these guys are the generation. You haven't seen a prospect like this since Trevor Lawrence. It's like
right.
Which
yeah. I mean, I think
you go quarterback, right?
I don't know. I like Marvin Harrison a lot, and I think Junior.
Yeah.
And I think that he is such a sure thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be, if he's not the elite from the beginning, he's going to be a star enough. And honestly, I don't know if I love any of the quarterbacks coming into this class. I like Caleb Williams, but there's also some flaws.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Drake, man. He's UNC. He hasn't been tested that much in college.
No.
Michael Penix, talented.
Yeah, I feel like you don't take him that high either. Like
that's it. I don't know. It's tough. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is as much of a short thing as you'll get. And wide receiver now is such a coveted position. Like it's when it comes to importance, it's quarterback, offensive line, or offensive tackle, presumably the left tackle.
Yeah.
Defensive end, and then it goes wide receiver. I think.
Yeah. Cornerback too. Like that. Those
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll get into like Devon Witherspoon, dude. Good game again against the Commanders, and Emmanuel Forbes not so much. But we'll get into that. I mean, this is a really deep quarterback class. I don't want to spend too much time because we're gonna have.
It is deep. Yeah.
Deep quarterback class. Like maybe you do pick Marvin Harrison, and then you see if somebody like Bo Nix falls to the second round. I don't know if JJ McCarthy is declaring. I don't know if I'd want him.
Interesting.
But like, maybe you take a shot out at him in the second round too.
Well, like, or you could do this thing where it's like you take Marvin Harrison Jr., you pick up Jameson Winston in free agency, or Jameis
Josh
Winston
Jobs, yeah.
Well, yeah, my God. But, like, you know what Winston's about. He's going to chuck the ball. He has a huge arm.
Mm-hmm.
Probably throw for 30 touchdowns. At least you got something there for next year. And then you can, like, look at a real serious franchise quarterback, give you more time if you don't like anybody in the draft. But you're going to have options.
Or we could do a little like what the Texans did. Not exactly what the Texans did, but like go Marvin Harrison Jr. We got 2 picks in the second round. Maybe we trade up to the middle and get somebody like Michael Penix or Bo
that'll
Nix.
Be interesting.
And Bo Nix is honestly like, I think he's been playing some of the best football out of like all the prospects right now.
He's older though. I know that.
He is.
But yeah, he's played well. I know. What's his name? Daniels at LSU has played really well too, and his
Yeah,
draft was
I feel like
surprising.
he'd probably be like a second round, and
Yeah.
he's got that rushing ability, which I kind of like too.
hmm
But yeah, we'll get into that later. You wanna move on to the Commanders? Anything else you want to say for this Dallas
Uh,
Giants game?
Washington traveled to Seattle.
Yes.
Pretty intriguing game and a pretty endorsing game for Washington if you believe in them. I
Yeah.
think that they played well. I'll start off. I think they played well. I think that they also have issues because of this game, because I think that we've seen from this game they
hmm
have talent, but then even with their talent, it goes two ways. I think with Washington, we all think they have talent from the beginning, and then they wet the bed against bad teams. They don't beat good teams, etc.
hmm
Or if they beat bad teams, they barely beat them, and they're not playing well. Now we see them play a good team in Seattle.
Yeah.
The talent came out and was there, and they still lose. Now they had a drive to come back to score 26 points. They had 19 points
hmm
late in the fourth quarter. I think we're seeing an emergence of Howell,
Yeah.
like a more stability with him going forward. But offensively, there's just so much talent between McLaurin, Brian Robinson, even Gibson as the
Jahan
backup,
Dotson, Curtis Samuel too.
Dotson, Curtis Samuel, um, uh, Logan Thomas.
Yeah.
I I guess they might be a team where you have to
I don't
pan
know.
out the rest of this year, then look into next year how they perform. But they're just not they're not winning games ultimately with the surplus of talent. Even though they did trade Montez Sweat and Chase Young, which was silly. But yeah, I don't know. I feel bad for them, but they're still like the talent's there,
hmm
but they're not winning, and I think they have too much talent not to win some of these games.
Yeah.
The record is what they are, I guess. At what is it, 4-6?
Yeah.
Um, they don't have many good wins. They play the Eagles great, but I think that's a divisional thing too. They played Seattle well, but ultimate loss.
Yeah.
I think all the pieces are there, but there's some hump. There's some hump they're not able to get over.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out with them.
I will tell you one thing that it definitely is. So yeah,
Yeah, go.
is their defense? Is their
Their
like
secondary solid. Yeah.
their defense is just not been clicking. And the thing is, they still do have good names. I even like Benjamin St. Just going into week 10. I think led all defenders in like force and completions with
Mm.
9. Which like Benjamin St. Just, honestly, when I do see like a good pass breakup, it's been him, and he's not like, oh my god, are you
Oh,
there?
you froze. I'm here.
I don't
There
know
he
what's
is.
going on.
There he is.
All right, we're back. We're back. I don't know what's going on with this Wi-Fi. But yeah, but like Emmanuel Forbes, he gets ejected in the first quarter early, with a hit on Tyler Lockett. But he's like, I think that's gonna come back to bite him. To be honest, I feel like they're gonna end up. I feel like they're gonna get a new GM because like they really haven't draft. I mean, I'll tell you what, Sam Howell, I think, has emerged and has played like he played great. He played an amazing game. Like it wasn't his fault that they lost. Like, dude, are you still there?
Yeah, still here.
I don't know what the fuck's happening with my Wi-Fi. It's pissing me the fuck off. I think I'm just gonna start fresh right here with this one. Um,
Got it.
yeah. So I will tell you, the Commanders. The issue is the defense and the offense. Like the offense has done well. Sam Howell has definitely proved that he can be their starting quarterback. He's done enough.
Yeah.
He actually leads the NFL right now in passing yards with 2,783. Leads the NFL in passing yards.
And they haven't had a bye.
And they haven't had a bye too. But still, I
Okay.
mean, like,
Yeah.
yeah, for them to be leading the NFL in passing yards, or Sam Howell, and it's essentially his rookie year. I mean, well, and actually the one who's number 2 is C.J. Stroud. So essentially 2 rookies leading the league in passing
Yeah. Jeez.
yards. But yeah, their defense, like, the thing is, they get rid of Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat, actually, I saw had like the most pressures for a Bears edge defender with 7.5 since like I think 2017 or something like that. Probably like
Hmm.
the Khalil Mack era. Well, no, Khalil Mack was there just recently, but yeah, they get rid of their 2 edges, which was probably like their strength. I mean, I get like they want to like rebuild, but I think the GM is one person who has to go. Like you've kind of struck gold in a way with Sam Howell in the 5th round, but and like, but Emmanuel Forbes, especially with Christian Gonzalez still on the board and Joey Porter Jr. still on the board, and then Emmanuel Forbes has just not looked like it. Yeah, obviously he got ejected in this game early in the first quarter, but I feel like the GM's gone. Jack Del Rio, the defensive coordinator, is definitely gone because like that's
Yes. Del Rio's bad.
Del Rio is not it. And to be honest, I feel like Ron Rivera is probably gone too. But my question is, because it seems like they're moving on with the new ownership of Josh Harris. Do they keep Eric Bieniemy either as the offensive coordinator? Or do they promote him to head coach?
Yeah, I
Because
think that's.
they have seen great performance out of Sam Howell, and you don't like his trajectory. Like even his sacks, he's been taking less sacks. Like he's grown and evolved over this season. I mean, I feel like you kind of don't mess with what Sam Howell has with Eric Bieniemy. Either you keep him as the OC or you promote him to head coach. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would do either. I think I would either leave him at OC, although I guess it gets complicated if you fire Rivera.
Mm,
And I think Bieniemy goes, well, I want the head coaching job. I think it would be weird if they brought in another head coach and then have Bieniemy be the offensive coordinator for that coach as well. So I think that could get awkward.
yeah.
But yeah, if I were them, I'd want Bieniemy on their sideline regardless. He's made a difference for their offense this year. It's quite notable. Their offense is a lot better than last year.
Mm-hmm.
It is the reason why they've won so many games. And it's the reason why they are as good as a team as they are, I think, because the defense certainly doesn't help out. The only thing I'll say about the offense, though, with Washington is they're still only averaging 21.7 points a game,
Mm,
which for a team of their record is pretty on par. They're middle of the pack on points per game. I think they're out of the 30 teams are around 16th or 17th. Not awful, but I think that they're not scoring enough for me to be locked into their offense. And it's also like, how do you even
yeah.
improve that offense? I mean, getting better player, but like
Well, the
receiver
O
just
line
seems.
too. The O line
Oh,
definitely
you can get better, no doubt.
probably
But
their
like
biggest weakness.
running back between Brian Johnson and
Right,
uh,
right, yeah.
in Gibson, that's solid enough. Like it's going to be tough to
Mm-hmm.
like up that in a way. O line you can. Tight end you could probably get better, but again, I think Logan Thomas is okay.
Yeah.
Receivers, they probably have a top five receiver group in the NFL. Now
Yeah,
you could
well,
also get better.
on paper, the production hasn't been there yet, but like, I mean, you saw
Right,
Jahan Dotson finally. Yeah, here, keep going.
but but that's the point. I think the production
Mhm.
hasn't been there this year. Why? Like
Yeah.
we know the talent's there. I think
Hmm.
is it part? Could it be Sam Howell a little bit? Maybe because it's not like even though the stats are there for him in some ways, other ways I think that the offense just isn't like good enough. Like they still have 19 points in the last 2.5 minutes of the game yesterday, and obviously you can get into semantics with that kind of stuff. They still scored 26 ultimately and tied the game, but I don't know. I think they need a little more.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, like that is one issue with BNMA too. Is like I believe there is 10 targets between Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson, who are like their 2
Hmm.
biggest playmakers. Jahan Dotson, no receptions, no yards. Like you need to scheme more of these plays. You need to get the ball
Yeah.
into Jahan Dotson's hands. You need to get the ball into Terry McLaurin's hands. Still like an efficient day passing. If you were to tell me
Yeah.
that between Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin, there's only 33 yards, and then I would think that Sam Howell probably had a terrible day, but he had 312 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, no interceptions. He did have one fumble. Devon Witherspoon got his hands on it. It was actually like this designed run. I don't know if you saw, but it was this designed run, and then there was like Devon Witherspoon and Quandre Diggs were like just like he was like running straight up, and he was holding the ball well, like a running back, but they were just like kind of hugging him and just getting at the ball, and Devon Witherspoon was able to rip it out. Good play by him, but like I said, I mean he led a game-winning drive. Like he was there. Like he made no mistakes. He marched down the field. And then the defense was the issue there. The defense was like they scored, tying the game with 52 seconds left. And the defense couldn't stop it. The defense couldn't stop it with that field goal. And
that's true. They also, you also would, if you scored a few more points throughout the game before that, you're in a different situation as well. So I can't say that, which opportunities they could have taken advantage of necessarily. I know not fumbling there, obviously there's a point. It's hard to be perfect as a quarterback. When quarterbacks don't turn it over, though, it's just going to be better for them in the long run. You'll win more games. It's interesting how how just protecting the football as a quarterback will help you win games no matter who you are. So, that play there, I just think Washington needs to score more points offensively. We know their defense has given up on them. We know they're not going to win games with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also I don't just think it's a defensive issue for them. It seems like offensively they're missing some firepower. They're missing some playmaking threats. McLaurin's great. He'll do his thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they need maybe another beast in there. So maybe they do. Maybe you do upgrade the wide receiver position and move on from, I don't know, someone like Curtis Samuel and get
I think
another.
Curtis Samuel is definitely movable. Like he's not like,
especially because no doubt, and especially because if you get a true elite receiver, McLaurin then becomes from number 2, and then it's like. And it's like, wow, you're in good standings there. Then Dotson's your 3, which is excellent as well. So I don't know.
I mean, they could always upgrade a tight end. I mean, Logan Thomas is probably like a top 15 tight end in the league, but like he's not. They could definitely upgrade there. And then now they have to look at edge rushers too in this upcoming class and in free agency. Like they don't have any big name at edge rusher at all.
Yeah, I mean that's
Casey Doohill. Is that their number 1 edge rusher right now? Like that's,
maybe. Long live Casey Doohill. And that's the issue too. I think I mentioned this before, but Detroit did this when they traded Darius Slay to the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
I think the next draft, the draft maybe a few weeks later, they drafted Jeff Okudah.
Yep.
It's like I get getting younger. It's definitely more. It's not as costly by doing that. Financially it makes sense, but like what you had in Sweat, very productive player.
Yeah,
I think Chase Young's looked great this year. Yeah, you're going to have to pay both of them, which I guess would have been tough. So maybe trade one, I guess. But
I don't know by trading 2. Like it's just like,
2's a lot.
Like edge rushers don't always pan out, and like especially with all these holes, like. And they're playing well. Like they could still be a playoff team. So, and I think Sam Howell is like I said, he's definitely earned 1 more year as the starting quarterback in Washington.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And he could be on his way to being an elite quarterback. I mean, he did pass the ball 44 times too. That's the thing. Like they only rushed the ball. They had that one design run by Sam Howell. I don't know if the other one was just a scramble, but they only rushed the ball 14 times. 14 times. I mean, like Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. But that being said, too, Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson were really effective in the pass game. And like that 50-yard touchdown by Brian Robinson was like a little like dump off pass.
Yes.
While Sam Howell was scrambling, avoiding a sack from Jamal Adams. But yeah, they definitely need to like Sam Howell is leading the league in passing yards, but he's also, I feel like, passing the ball 45 times a game.
Yeah, I think I mean, we know both of us know this, but the more you pass like that, it's tougher to win football games. And for a game that was this close, maybe maybe it came down to just throwing the football too much for
Mm,
Washington. I get it, and I give Sam Howell credit. He's had a very very good year. He definitely earned next year as a starter.
mhm.
Absolutely, it just seems like and he's leading the stats in a lot of categories. I give him his props. Seems like there's something that is just off with him as a quarterback. Maybe he gets better though. Maybe they could be
Yeah.
he's just a rookie and he's not, he just took a lot of sacks his first year, didn't have the vision, didn't know how good he was necessarily, just gets better. But at least with this year's Sam Howell
Mhm.
and this offense, with all the talent, it's definitely the defense too, primarily. There's
Yeah.
something about the offense that is holding this team back. I
Mhm.
can't exactly put maybe it's a little talent with the receivers and just um, and something with Howe too, but
Yeah.
there's something there, I think.
Well, like I said too, like Sam Howell's getting better at the sacks. He was only sacked 3 times this game. One of them is by the beloved Leonard Williams. It's
Mm.
nice to see, but only 3 sacks. Like, and how many last week against the Eagles? Was it only? I feel like it was like 3 sacks too. Like he's shown improvement in not taking sacks, and
Oh
like
no, I think the Eagles the second game they only had 1 sack on him.
once. Yeah, see, like I mean, it's
I
improving,
think.
and like he was about to get. Like I said, he almost got sacked by Jamal Adams, old blitz boy, and
Hmm.
he turned that into a 51-yard touchdown pass to Brian Robinson by dumping it off to him. So like he's definitely improving. So there's good things, and like the Commanders are still playing very competitive football. Like I feel like each week like they have an opportunity to win. I'm not writing them off of any games at this point.
Yeah, they're a very weird team because they have a lot of talent on paper, on the field too, and then a lot of times they perform just poorly, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I don't know if my Wi-Fi cut out for the Emmanuel Forbes thing, but like I said, like Emmanuel Forbes ejected early in this game. Um, just kind of disappointing. Like I mean, still he's a rookie corner. I get that, and like our rookie corner Deontay Banks has definitely had its ups and downs. I know he got
Yes.
like before getting injured in our game, also exiting our game against Cowboys. Like he had a pass interference, like trying to cover CeeDee Lamb, and
Yep.
yeah, it's
It's a
but
tough, it's a tough position. I think it's tough for these rookie corners. I've always said it, but especially going up against a team like DK Metcalf, uh,
Tyler Lockett,
Tyler
Jackson Smith.
Lockett, Jackson Jigma Smith. Yeah, it's tough. These guys are, and it's tough too for someone like Forbes because in his own, he's going to have to face AJ Brown twice,
Mhm.
Devontae Smith twice, CeeDee Lamb twice.
Yeah,
Uh,
CeeDee Lamb, who's like, I mean, having just a career year by far. I mean,
yeah,
yeah. And also, it's tough because he's a smaller guy. Like covering, you didn't even get to see him cover DK Metcalf, but like
right.
you saw how he fared against a physical AJ Brown. It's yeah, definitely interesting. Um, but yeah, is there anything else you want to say about these Commanders? I feel like they got rid of Chase and Sweat, who were their biggest producers in the sack department.
Yes,
They have 1 sack with Jonathan Allen in this game. I think that's kind of important to note, and I'm
that's a
curious to
product
see
of.
where their pass rush really
Yep.
comes from. I feel like it's going to be from that interior with Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne.
Yeah, I think Washington. I know they're not tanking, but they do better in their draft position. After their trade deadline, it seems like they're kind of giving up on the year in some way. So it's like
Yeah,
when you go out
yeah.
and you play a game like this against Seattle in Seattle, I will say that is impressive.
It's impressive, and honestly, as a Commanders fan, I feel like you might. I feel like you're a little disappointed that like
Oh
they
yeah,
gave
sure.
up. Yeah, because
Yeah,
they
no
could make
doubt.
a playoff push for sure.
Maybe you win if Sweat played, if
If Chase
Chase played, maybe you win that kind of game.
maybe you do. I mean,
Yeah.
like I'll tell you what, Geno Smith when he played against the Giants earlier this season, and Kayvon Thibodeau had like I think he had 2 sacks that game or something, but we were able to get pressure on
Hmm.
Geno. and he had an awful performance. I know he missed a little bit of that game, and they had Drew Lock come in, but I feel like
Yes,
Gino is
I
somebody
remember
that
that.
under pressure too. Like especially with the lack of pass defense that you have as Washington, like getting rid of your edge defenders, which are the only thing that's going to help that
Yeah.
weak pass. It's a little disappointing as a Commanders fan. I can see.
And Sweat's been productive since he's been in the league.
Yeah,
Mississippi State guy. He's been uh, healthy and productive every time he stepped on the field. What the only knock on Chase Young is that he's been hurt so much throughout his year, but
yeah,
when healthy, he gets. He had a sack already or a half sack against Jacksonville this
yeah.
week, and
Him and
like,
Nick
oh my,
Bosa. I'm pretty sure they forced a fumble there too, right? I think so. Or they
possibly,
just
yeah.
met with the sack. Yeah.
So
But, yeah. And then, like I said, Montez Sweat had like one of the best edge rushing performances by a Bears player in like 5 years too, as in
yes,
his first game there. So, yeah, I think, yeah, I'm not ruling the Commanders out of like a playoff position, especially with kind of like weaker fringe teams.
oh, I am.
And you don't think?
Oh,
Well, I don't think they're going to make a playoff push, but I
they're
don't think
not a playoff team.
I mean, they can still make it in there.
Well, let me hear what you let me hear what maybe I rushed to conclusion. Let me hear what you just said the first time again. Oh,
Yeah, I don't know.
there he
Like
is.
I'm angry about my Wi-Fi right now. I don't like.
Yeah, that's
I
weird.
get $70 a month for this Wi-Fi. I'm the only person in the house.
I know. Oh
What's
my
going
God,
on here?
I'm watching YouTube TV, and it's pausing during the Eagles game, and I call Xfinity. I go, listen, I didn't get the cheap Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
why.
what I'm saying, man.
Right.
I'm switching to Verizon.
That's what. Yeah. Um.
No,
So
I
you
just
want
want to look at this. I just want to look at the playoff picture.
But say what you said. So maybe I rushed to conclusion what you said. Say what you said the first time about Washington in the playoffs, and like, because
Oh, I
maybe I
mean,
heard you wrong.
I think that the Commanders are still like they're still in the running to get a playoff spot. I mean,
Mm.
like right now, the playoff picture is like what we got. The Seahawks are well, no, it'd be the Cowboys. Cowboys and Seahawks are tied at 6-3 for the 5-6, and then
Hmm.
Vikings 6-4 with the 7. They're 2 games back
Yeah,
essentially.
I mean, I think,
They're
yeah, they don't scream playoffs to me at all. But
But they
and
also have the Giants coming up this week too. So like I mean, you can
are we sure
almost
DeVito's going to play in that game?
not sure to be honest. Yeah, I think that the Commanders can still make a playoff spot. They're playing the Giants this week. Let's get into our previews. So the Commanders are or the Giants are going to Washington. So the Giants,
Yeah, 1 o'clock. Yep.
yep, at 1 o'clock Eastern time. The Giants beat the Commanders. Defense stifled Sam Howell. I mean, we essentially still have the same defense minus Leonard Williams. We'll see with
This
these
was the
injuries.
14-7 game.
It was the 14-7 game. Like we won that with our defense, and
Yes.
like with this poor Commanders defense too. Like maybe Tommy DeVito, which I don't know. I believe Tyrod Taylor is still going to be inactive. I don't know if because of how bad Tommy DeVito has been playing,
Hmm.
you give it to Matt Barkley because you don't want like the wide receivers to be frustrated, which they showed obvious frustration last game.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Giants keep Tommy DeVito in just because like I think we are gunning for that spot. Like that's
It's a
pretty
tough
much
situation to be in
giving
this
up.
early.
Yeah, it's giving up on the season without, and they can make an excuse just like when Doug Peterson put like Nate Sudfeld in all those years back. Like they're
Yeah.
like, oh well, I want to get him some playing time. Like that, we can make that same excuse for Tommy DeVito. Like we want to see what we have in him. But
That too.
in all honesty,
Yeah.
he's probably going to be throwing our games by throwing interceptions.
Yes.
Which yeah, just no bueno. But I mean, this is a game. The Giants, I believe, have 2 winnable games left in their schedule, and that is the Commanders this upcoming week, and then next week with the Patriots. So Giants fans, if you're gunning for that top spot, I think you got 2 weeks to see where we're going to essentially land. To see if we can secure that first spot. But yeah, I think that Washington has been playing better since that game as well. I mean, it's has been playing better since that Giants game. Like, they played that competitive game against the Eagles. They toughed it out against the bad Patriots, and they came up short in a very, very, very close game against the Seahawks, which are one of the better. I think they're tied for the lead for the NFC West with the 49ers. I see maybe Emmanuel Forbes eating this game. I'm going to give Emmanuel Forbes an interception against Tommy DeVito. That's one bold prediction. For the Giants, I feel like the thing is Tommy DeVito was taking some shots. I don't know if Jalen Hyatt went out with a concussion during the Cowboys game. So, I think I'm going to say Wan'Dale eats here. And I think the Giants just try to have these checkdowns, a short play to try to keep it competitive with Tommy DeVito. And I think that Wan'Dale eats, and Wan'Dale has 100 yards and a touchdown. That is a bold prediction for this. And the score, I think we do ultimately lose. But I think that the Giants defense are going to be too prideful to let Sam Howell walk over them, especially holding them to 7 points. We had some sacks that last game too. I hope that we can get maybe some Aziz sacks, maybe some Kayvon sacks. I'm going to go 20-14.
I really want to give this game to the Giants if they could start Tyrod Taylor or someone besides DeVito.
I mean, Matt Barkley is our backup, but
yeah, maybe not Barkley, but I don't know why. I don't know why I feel this way, especially after the deadline where they lost Leonard Williams. It didn't get it. If DeVito plays, the Giants are going to lose. That's as simple as it is.
No.
If someone can get healthy like Taylor, or they bring in someone else, maybe they could win because they beat them once already. Washington defensively is a mess. So that's my prediction. If DeVito plays, the Giants will lose. They'll lose 23-13. And if Tyrod Taylor can play, they'll win 21-20.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I could they're pretty similar. I hope that Sam Howell doesn't run away with this game, and I feel like the Giants defense kind of has his number, especially after last game. I don't. The thing is, I'm worried about Adoree Jackson. I hope he's back. Deonte Banks too, rookie corner, had that ankle injury. Hopefully he's back, because that will make a difference too. Because if we're like I said, we were down to our fourth cornerback last week.
Howell's throwing for 300 regardless if you're healthy or not. So I think that's what makes the point. Yeah, no doubt.
And our run defense has been good still, even without Leonard Williams. It's been still decent with Ashawn and Nacho. Along with Dex. And it seems like they just keep abandoning the run too with Washington. I feel like it hasn't been as much, especially having those two backs. So I feel like it is going to be another game where Sam Howell throws it 40 times at least.
I think Sam Howell will throw for over 334.5 yards.
Okay.
Bold prediction, Giants bold prediction. There will be a receiver who has at least 50 yards of receiving.
Yeah, that was a big point.
Which is an interesting, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, our leading wide receiver was Daniel Bellinger with 34 yards. And that's because he had a 27-yard catch.
It was similar to the week before that, Sean.
Yeah.
It was just similar kind of nobody goes off in this DeVito offense. It's always four guys having 2 catches and the leading receiver having like 28 yards kind of thing.
And
Right.
which is, I mean, that's why I'm trust me saying that Wandale has 100 yards, like, I don't see it. Wandale had 100 yards once, and it was on the play. He got his 100th yard tearing his ACL against the Cowboys. But I would like to see, because that's somebody like that as a Giants fan, that's what you're looking forward to. You're looking at these younger players that are the future for next year. Like we're looking to tank, but you want to see somebody like Wandale and Jalen Hyatt explode. And even on the defensive side too, you want to see Deonte Banks continue to improve, play well. You want to see, Azeez Ojulari, maybe. I believe we at least have him for one more year. Want to see him probably see if he's worth extending. If he can stay on the field for the rest of the season, that would even just be a benefit. But yeah, and like Micah McFadden, I love Micah McFadden's growth this year. Like that's one plus that I guess has come out of the year, with also Bobby Okereke being like one of the best linebackers in the league. Coming to this week, I know he led or tied for the lead for the most tackles for loss or tackles for no gain with 14, and I know he at least had 1 or 2 in that game against the Cowboys. So that's what you look forward to. And as a Commanders fan too, I think that you're looking at this game as a definite win. I mean, anybody who's playing the Giants, I feel like are pretty confident in a win there.
Yeah.
And I think that they're looking at Sam Howell to eat and like continue to like. If you're a Commanders fan, man, you're just rooting for Sam Howell to keep up this like passing yards king, like the leader in the NFL in passing yards. And honestly, a small part of me is rooting for him too. Small part of me. It's not like Tommy DeVito's going to take that spot. So
I'm not rooting for Sam Howell, but good for him. Dallas Panthers.
Yes, Dallas is in Carolina.
Yes.
Also a 1:00 game. This is where we need the Panthers to win. So that way the Giants will have the first overall pick. And also the Cowboys will lose. But I did not see that happening. The Panthers have the first overall pick because they are the worst team in the NFL. With their one win came against the Texans, correct?
Yes.
The one game they won was against the Texans in the quarterback bowl. I mean, they've played some. I mean, not really. They've lost to good teams. They've lost like terribly, and against this Dallas defense, I think they're going to eat on Bryce.
Yeah. The Panthers are just god awful.
Like you said prior, like the Cowboys against bad teams, they feast and they play their best ball. So
no doubt,
I could see the Cowboys scoring 40 points again this game and holding the Panthers to like
single digits.
Yeah. I mean, I could see them holding them to single digits too.
I think bold prediction: Dallas wins by at least 23 points.
All right. Yeah. I'm curious to see what this spread is too. I mean, I feel like it probably won't be as egregious as the Giants one, which
usually
was very safe. Yeah.
Injury related spreads, they don't go that. We'll see though. Carolina's
and
bad.
They're in Carolina too.
Yeah.
And they're in Carolina.
True.
So that's the spread probably. I'm guessing the spread's at 10.5. 10.5. I feel like that's it.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Still a pretty high spread, but I think maybe even higher. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I would check it, but I feel like the Wi-Fi is going to go down. So I'm going to go score prediction. Cowboys, I'm going to give them just a flat 40, and the Panthers, I'm going to give them 17. Bold prediction, I think that Micah Parsons having a quiet game against the Giants. I feel like he's going to have a huge performance with 2 sacks. And I think that CeeDee Lamb continues his reign, and I feel like he has another over 100-yard game. Those are my bold predictions. Jeremy?
Score by bold prediction, obviously, Dallas will win by 23 points. That will look like the score will be 40. 14.
I think
They're
that
gonna win.
was my score, so we're on the same page here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Maybe we should both bet that and see if that's
Yeah.
that.
Could you imagine?
The payout? I mean, put a little $5, both of us. Get a new
Yeah, that'd be
studio
wild.
for the podcast.
Just,
If we hit
no
that.
doubt, we can really up the podcast. My goodness. What was I gonna say? I forget.
Wi-Fi's down again. No, I'm just
I know it probably looks that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4-14. They're gonna win by 23. Another bold prediction. Dallas defense will have 2 turnovers, and we'll take those turnovers into the red zone of Carolina.
Not a Deron Bland pick 6?
No. Not today. But
I could give Deron Bland another interception against Bryce Young, though.
Maybe. Yeah. Or I could also see Devontae Smith cooking him on the sideline in the end zone, catching it over him for a touchdown. But that's another story. The line also, by the way, Sean, the line is 15.5.
Oh, so I believe that was what the Giants game opened up as too.
Okay. So yeah, I think that's the number.
Like 17.5, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So 40-14, and Dallas has 2 will turn it over twice and put it into the red zone. Let's say the red zone or field goal range, 35-yard line, etc. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I like that. You ready to move on to probably the best game of the week, if not one of the best games of the season?
Yes.
The Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football in Kansas City, correct?
Correct, in Kansas City.
All right, Jeremy. This is your team. I'll let you start it off.
Well, it's a big game, ladies and gentlemen, as we know. Eagles are coming off a bye. Kansas City is coming off a bye. Travis Kelce is coming off of Argentina trip with Taylor Swift. This is tough because I think that it would be huge for the Eagles to get a win. I think we've seen that Kansas City has lost multiple games this year that they probably shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. I think that when they do that, a lot of teams are very off of Kansas City, as for good reasons, because they're weird losses. Mm-hmm. They're still the Chiefs, though. It is in Arrowhead, Monday Night Football. It's going to be a great game by both sides. I think the Chiefs will narrowly win. Mm-hmm. Although I will say I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles were able to get through this and get a win. But I'll give it to the Chiefs. I'll say 34-31 Chiefs.
Chiefs win. You're predicting
the Chiefs win. I think so.
All right.
Because I think a little pre-prediction. I think the Eagles will gradually take care of the other hard games after the Chiefs going forward. We'll see on that, but I'll say 34-31 Chiefs.
What a humble Eagles fan, man. That's why you're the most likable Eagles fan, I think, in the entire
I appreciate that. I do think the Eagles have a good shot, and I think that if they don't play mind games, shoot themselves in the foot, they could certainly easily win. Not easily, but enough. They'll take advantage of that of the game, and they can win without a doubt. But yeah, I'll go Chiefs. I'll say Mahomes throws for. I'll get off that line. I think Mahomes will throw for 4 touchdowns, though.
Oh yeah. The Eagles defenders, man, are.
Yeah, that's what I'm scared of. I don't know.
Slay and James Bradbury have been a little bit unimpressive, to be honest.
No doubt, Slay I'll take because he's been physical and downfield he's been fine enough. He hasn't been great. I agree, but overall, I'll take Slay's performance. Bradbury's just been lost, so it's been a disaster. I'll say that. They throw all the touchdowns for Kansas City will be thrown by Mahomes, 4 touchdowns. But I think.
What do you think about the Eagles? What is your Eagles prediction?
Bold prediction. I think Hurts has a similar throwing game to Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Will throw for 3 touchdowns, 2 to Devontae, 1 to AJ Brown.
All right. I like that. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to say, because we haven't been able to say this because the Eagles were on the bye, but the Eagles and the Sixers have the same exact record at 8-1. So
They do.
That's just a nice little fun stat. So I want to see this high scoring game too, because I want a good Monday Night Football matchup. I'm gonna go Eagles. Go Eagles 35, Kansas City. Kansas City 27.
Wow. Okay.
Which I don't even
know.
Because this is the thing. Like the Chiefs receivers still really haven't. Like there's no true number one. I feel like that has really emerged. I think honestly their best receiver right now is Rashee Rice. So
he's been good for them.
Yeah.
Are we saying that Kelsey's just a tight end in the situation?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying. Yeah.
Right. Okay. We're talking about like guys outside. Yeah.
Receiving options in the league as a tight end, but
yeah.
But yeah, I don't feel as confident in this Chiefs team.
I don't either. I think the Eagles have been playing better football and are a better team right now. And Kansas City's still Kansas City, and it's home. It's on Monday night. They had a week off, so the Eagles, but the Eagles are a little beat up. No Goddard. I love your score prediction. I'd love to listen. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll happen because honestly, I don't even know why they would get the 35 point. But I have the Eagles winning by a touchdown essentially.
I love that
in Kansas City. I think that the thing is though this. What I haven't alluded to, even though I said that score and really probably didn't even think too much into it, was that the Chiefs' defense has actually been one of the best defenses in the leagues this year.
Yes, it has.
And their second year cornerback Trent McDuffie has been like one of the best cornerbacks in the league too. So
their defense, I think, has helped them out offensively this year, like a great bit.
Yeah. That is like honestly, like that's probably been what's keeping Kansas City atop of one of the best teams in the league. With kind of their struggles at the wide receiver position. And honestly, like their running back position still, like Pacheco has been efficient. Jerick McKinnon's been pretty quiet this year.
It's a rotation with them, yeah. Keep the defense honest, be able to move the ball a little bit here and there. But you obviously know 15 is the magic maker with that offense.
Yeah. So I'm going to go, I think AJ Brown gets back on his 100-yard game stuff right there. So I'm going to go AJ Brown, 100 yards and a touchdown. I think maybe Devonta Smith will be the one that again is second fiddle, but with Dallas Goedert out, who knows? Maybe we'll see more of him too to supplement it. So yeah, that's the bold prediction. AJ Brown, 100 yards and a touchdown, and I think that Jalen Hurts plays one of his best games. I think that he's going to come off this bye prepared for this Chiefs, even though this Chiefs defense is good. And I feel like this is where, coming off the bye, this is where the Eagles, they played a little bit sloppy coming into starting off the season. Still won the game, still productive. But I think this is where the Eagles finally start getting that stride for this playoff push and continue their dominance.
Yeah, it certainly would be nice, and I would take that kind of situation. Jalen's been banged up, had a week off to get a little healthy. A lot of team has been banged up, quite frankly. So the bye came at a great time for this team. Yeah, it's again the talent's there. They have there's a lot of mental obstacles I think with the team you lost to in the Super Bowl. Their coaching in Kansas City. It's just a matter of getting over those hurdles that are mental, I think. And I think the sky would be the limit. If they are able to get over it, the sky's the limit for them in a game like this. And it would be a really strong win, to say the least, if they were able to pull this one off, no doubt.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope everybody has made it through all of the Wi-Fi and everything else, and a rather it's but if you made it this far, thank you. We're going into week 11. Week 10 was exciting and disappointing.
It happened.
Depending on it happened. But you know what? We'll be back next week for week 11. Hopefully the Giants played a very competitive, close loss, and somehow the Panthers beat the Cowboys.
I love that. Listen. We saw Arizona beat Dallas earlier in the year.
Hey, it's these games where they're sleepwalking into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We'll see. We'll see. Maybe this is the game that Bryce Young pulls it off, and then like a great way to end the week again with the Eagles and Chiefs. So
Yeah.
we will see you next week with a little bit more excitement. We got the full slate. Again, we are the beasts of the NFC East. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Peace. Go Giants. But keep losing, but play competitively.